you still saying though? There's 1,000 people out there watching me.
Family get-togethers and food and dancing, and we're super bad and we're super connected on so many levels.
I'd never seen those videos before. That's why we donated them.
There was just a rhythm to it, there was always music going. There's always some music in the background.
We're inviting artists to delve into the Southside Home Movie Project's archive and to create new works.
It's a living and breathing thing now.
I just want to get back to him again.
I love the layering of stories and the ways that the lyrics can play off what's happening visually.
As a creative, I can get in and I can play. So it was cool to do that.
Baby, can you still say it though? There's 1,000 people out there watching me. Can you say mighty, mighty for me? I hear you, baby, yeah. Feeling kind of good now.
Hi, and welcome to a special rebroadcasting of The Will to Adorn, a collaboration between Spinning Home Movies and Seth Parker Woods. We're going to kick things off here in a moment, but before I do, I want to tell you a little bit about the amazing Seth Parker Woods. Seth served on the performance faculty at the University of Chicago as a lecturer and artist in residence for cello and chamber music from 2019 to 2021. The Guardian calls Seth a celloist of power and grace who possesses mature artistry and willingness to go to the brink. As a cellist, Seth Parker Woods has established a reputation as a versatile artist straddling several genres. He's performed and debuted several new and contemporary works while at the University of Chicago, including Sights and Sounds and Difficult Grace. Seth's performance of Sights and Sounds was actually considered one of the top 20 moments in classical music performance in Chicago in 2021. In the summer of 2020, we invited Seth to be part of our Summer Jam series. This was one of our first collaborations with a musician. This collaboration was so successful that Spinning Home Movies continued to partner with Chicago artists in this way today. Let's kick off this great episode with a conversation I had with Seth. I'll be back at the end of the special conversation with Seth, Avery, and Jeanette Foreman. Thanks again, and enjoy. Welcome, Seth.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this has been so much fun to collaborate with you over the last couple of weeks, to get to know you as a human, to know to know some of the things that you are unearthing in your process. Can you tell us a little bit about, as you explored the Southside Home Movie Archive, kind of how you were shaping your episode?
A theme that kept coming back was simplified beauty. And that's in a specific look, a glance, a gaze, even in the midst of a 65 riot, the aftermath of it. You've got kids huddling together, posing as if nothing is going on. Nothing is literally there's not a building burning right behind them. In the midst of the chaos, there is the defiant act of loving, the defiant act of embrace, the defiant act of still smiling. So I wanted to be able to still showcase the beauty, even though the community is burning and burning for a specific reason, you can still come together in love. And so I think I wanted to bring about the act of travel, the act of going away, moving from the community out and seeing the world and returning and still having this love and embrace for the messy but complicated but beautiful families. And I think that is the thing that I kind of gathered from all of these archives, these different collections. And there's quite a few I'm pulling from. I think at least 5 or 6, I think. And they're all kind of mixed and obscured or skewed all together in interesting ways that I think I didn't necessarily start out in that way, but the new storyline started to come to me in that way. And so I really hope people kind of were able to kind of grasp these lenses that I'm looking into. Yeah.
Thank you, Seth. Now, could you talk a little bit about the title and the themes in your episode?
The whole overall work is titled Will to Adorn, which takes its title directly from Zora Hurston's essay. So there's kind of 3 chapters. The first is titled Life Before. The second one is Forces in Motion. And then the last one is Lemons into Ellipses. And I leave them open in that way without trying to kind of give away too much, and kind of let the score, let these kind of remixing of lives guide you based on these kind of like cue cards, you can call them, in that way. Yeah.
Well, I know we can't wait to watch, so thank you. This is we're going to go into the rewind and talk a little bit more about all the creative choices that you made, and maybe we'll be able to catch some of those cues that you were sending us our way, and can't wait to do that with the rest of the team. So thank you.
I'm Seth Parker Woods, and you're watching my mix, The Will to Adorn, on Spinning Home Movies.
Betty came by on her way, said she had a word to say about things today and fallen leaves. Said she hadn't heard the news, hadn't had the time to choose way to lose, but she believes. Gonna see the riverman, gonna tell him all I can about the plan for lilac time. If he tells me all he knows about the way his river flows and all night shows in summertime. Betty said she prayed today for the sky to blow away, or maybe stay.
Come on, let's walk. Hey!
For when she thought of summer rain, calling for her mind again, she lost the pain.
Let mommy see. Let mommy see. Oh, look at daddy. Show that daddy. You see daddy. You see daddy. You know, ridiculous girl. Yeah, I see. Okay, that's
Maybe the electrolyte 'cause man make them toys. And after man make everything he can, you know that man makes money to buy from other men. This is a man's world. Ain't would be nothing, not one little thing without a woman or a girl. He's lost in the wilderness. He's lost in bitterness.
So as a mild-mannered child, my mom would drop me off in our family's second-hand Mitsubishi Caravan. And I would glance back before my descent to mutter, "I love you." In turn, she'd nod her head and turn to the road ahead and sigh, "Thank you. Thank you."
Fly
Shades of delight, cocoa hue. Rich as the night, afro blue. Elegant boy, beautiful girl. Dancing for joy, elegant world. Shades of delight, cocoa hue. Ooh. Rich as the night, afro blow. Two lovers are face to face with undulating grace. You gently sway and slip away to some secluded place. Shades of delight, cocoa hue. Rich as the night, afro blue. Dream of a land my soul is from. I hear a hand stroke on the drum. Shades of delight, cocoa hue. Rich as the night, afro blue. Elegant boy, beautiful girl. Dancing for joy, elegant world. Shades of delight, cocoa hue. Rich as the night, afro blue. Two lovers are face to face with undulating grace. Gently sway and slip away to some secluded place. Shades of delight, cocoa hue. Rich as the night, afro blue.
Trouble, little angel. Inconsistent, flying blind most of the time. Drama queen. she sings. Little, little baby, open up your heart. Don't you be afraid to feel. Little, little baby, hiding deep inside. Don't you know your love can heal? Trouble, little angel, inconsistent, flying blind most of the time. Don't know who to be. Yeah, always rearranging the wreckage of her life, ever holding tight to the hope that she'll be free. Little baby, open up your eyes. Don't you be afraid to feel. Little baby, hiding deep inside. Don't you know your love can heal? Talking to you, deep inside of me. Talking to you, one day you'll be free. Deep inside of me, talking to you, you'll be free. One day you'll open your wings, one day you'll fly. One day you'll fly.
Wow, did y'all feel that? How great was that? Now I want to introduce you to the next portion of the show that we call The Rewind. The Rewind is a moment where we bring the featured artists, film donors, and our editor, Avery LaFlamme, in conversation with one another about the process and episode. This is a great moment to hear about the impact this artful collaboration has had on the folks who contributed to this incredible archive. Let's jump in now. I just wanted to again express our thanks, our heartfelt thanks, Seth, for your intentionality that you've brought to this process. Really a piece of art that you've bestowed us, and I can't do enough to think about. I can't say enough about how much intention has gone into this, from our conversations we had to the editing process you engaged with Avery. I was just curious, like, could you speak a little bit about this process overall, how it's felt for you?
Me?
And that is, yes, that is for you. And then I'm going to bring in Avery as well.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's into it as we kind of start to talk about this collaboration. I really wasn't sure what I was going to see, who I was going to see, and kind of what type of inspiration it would kind of spark for me to kind of start to create a narrative. And I had some ideas of maybe I could find a few scenes of this, a few scenes of that, these kind of ideas. But I think in doing this kind of deep dive based on some of the archives you gave me up front, I just started seeing so much beauty within all of these images. And I think one of the big things, I think it was commented actually in the comment section, was that every family was capturing moments of the exact same things, just in different moments in time. So always looking at celebrating this beauty and excellence and thriving, love and joy, kind of all captured in these very specific moments, and using that footage, that time on the camera to really capture those moments. Yeah.
Yes, that's so wonderful. And Avery, could you speak to a little bit about, you two were working on this hand in hand often, which is new for us, but I know that it was exciting in a lot of ways from the times I was checking in with you all. Could you speak a little bit about the process that you undertook with Seth?
Yeah, no, it was very, it took a long time, but what you just saw was like the product of a lot of various particular choices that Seth had in his mind. And then our job was just to get down on the timeline so that we could actually all watch it together. So that process, it took longer. But it was great to like have that one-on-one kind of direct collaboration where we could, make choices and decisions and tweak things in real time. So it was worth the hours that it took, because what we just saw was so hypnotizing. So I was happy just to be that much involved to begin with. It's really fun.
Well, you all did a wonderful job. Like truly, I think you achieved what you set out to do, which is to create a narrative across so many different collections. And I can't help but be curious about how you're feeling, Jeanette, to see so much of your family, your aunt's collection to be featured. Any first reactions or thoughts?
Oh, it's really been a joy. It's been wonderful, and this is the culminating of it, because the things that I saw today and the putting together the not only all of the things that I was hoping people would see about the joy of family. I think it captured that so beautifully. The things we love about our cousins and our babies, how precious our babies are to us, and how precious it is to play, and especially that little scene where you captured the people jumping rope and jumping double dutch and then hugging afterwards. So many little and big things that just brought joy to my heart, that it wasn't just about seeing my family. It was how beautifully it was captured. The very precious things were captured about everybody's family. And I really congratulate you on the music, because the music, whoa. I couldn't have chosen better. It was just lovely. And I never would have thought I would have said that about James Brown. It's a man's world, but but it was righteous, and Shaka and so forth. The Afro Blue piece really knocked it out of the park for how we felt, the adventures that we, because in much of my films, there was things about our adventures and where we went. And in Tracy's family, apparently in this same way, that sense of how beautiful the world is, how exciting it was to get on that plane, much accolades for capturing that feeling. And last thing I'll say is that I am totally glad that you captured the film about the juxtaposing the things that had happened that were negative, that were all around us, the things, about how our city burned and the devastation and the neglect that was in our city too, because that made those beautiful smiles and the way and the way we persevere, you know, so much more evident. And the final, that magic white horse, you know, going through the neighborhood when the big snow. Wow, where did you get that footage? Where did that come from? That was magic. Loved it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to respond in any way, Seth or Avery?
Go ahead, Avery. I'll go after you.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree. The music, to me, it just really takes, I mean, what's already really amazing about those home movies and just makes it even better. And it gives you new ways to understand it, to think about it. Yeah, my favorite musical moment is probably the music that plays over the snow, the footage of the family, shoveling snow, and it starts to stutter and drop out to black frames. And that Moses Sumney song that you use, Seth, builds that like massive crescendo, and it just, I don't know, it's just really, really effective. And it's really great to see more contemporary music get paired with older films, music that the people in the films wouldn't have heard, but captures something about what you're seeing and what they're maybe feeling at the time. It's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I think it was definitely a journey of trying to find, I think as I was going through the footage and I didn't even have all the official timestamps, what I was going to cut, what we were going to extend or manipulate. But there were specific voices or sound that I knew I wanted to use a little bit of my own work and a little bit of work from that specific moments in time from the 60s, 70s, but also work from now. And also featuring maybe at least one Chicagoer that had played Chicago at some point in time in their careers, to kind of draw it all together, this and interconnectedness. And I really, my mother has always been a fan of Chaka Khan, and I think that's how I came to her music. And I was looking at that footage at the very end, and I was like, "Oh, this has got to be Chaka." This whole sequencing and all of kind of the overlay of double exposure footage where you have the kids back in the like the merry-go-round in the background, but you also have these beautiful moments up front, people on roller skates on the pavement or the sidewalk or the driveway, juxtaposed against a little girl that's like singing against the Christmas tree. So you have all of these worlds that are colliding at the same time and showing all the beauty at the same. But you also have this sense of decimation and destruction. I always say you have to find the beauty in the gray, the beauty in the darkness, because it still is there. I think it's too easy to get caught up in all of that darkness and forget that the beauty that's still around you. So trying to kind of bring that ethos out, and that visually by the stories that I'm seeing from the archive, but also via the sound that can kind of help it sail even further.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I kind of wanted to pose a question to, I think all of you have different answers, I think, to this, but one of the missions of the Southside Home Movie Project is to make this material available to researchers and artists around the world. And so these collaborations are not new to the project, though this is a new iteration of it. And I can't help but remember how, so I'm thinking of you, Seth, but I'm also wanting to bring in Avery and Jeanette's voices. But I remember, Seth, you saying like how much you were an archive nerd, and even as you were speaking about the images that were moving you, you were going into a different archive, right? A family archive of music that was speaking to you to say, this needs to be expressed. Could you speak a little bit about how those worlds, how you traverse those worlds, why they're important to mix, this kind of archival, like the Black aesthetics, right, that you were raised in, as well as like what you're bringing in as a researcher, as an artist performance. Yeah, so one side of that is there's complexity, and it's all built around a sense of layering or draping in that idea. So
when I think I'm looking at archives, many times I'm going and knowing something about what I'm searching for and hoping to find something also that I didn't expect to see. In the way that I'm now looking through, I guess, and starting to look through the home movie project, I had no idea. I really had no idea what I was going to necessarily be up against. And I really let that work drive me, what was being seen there, whether it was a specific type of camera technique, specific types of subjects or scenes or sounds. Maybe there was most of the footage there was silent, but we had a few that I chose specifically very at the first chapter, beginning of the first chapter, and at the end of the first chapter, and then the beginning of the third chapter. So these very specific moments that it was really great to kind of still show that innocence and then that naivety. So through that, then looking sonically, there are things that actually just happen in it that already has its own kind of pulse of time, that has its own type of visual. So how can I then listen into what's happening there and deep dive through these finished compositions or archives of time, storytelling, and then against what I'm seeing visually. And then there were even moments in Afro Blue, and then they're in the backyard and they're throwing the ball, and there's a moment with the flute. There's a flute flutter that actually happens, and somehow it literally just lines up right in time, and it's like an action shot. Not planned. It's just we laid it down, and I was like, oh, yes, that's perfect. But there's other moments where we really needed to stretch the time and stretch what was expected to fit more so the ethos or pathos of these stories, and try to do them as best justice, even if I had to manipulate it a little bit. So I think when looking at the two different things, I'm still looking for a visual narrative across the board, whether it is the actual moving image, the intermedia, or it is just the sonic. Yeah.
Thank you. Avery, do you have a response?
I don't know if I could put it much better than the way Seth just did, but I would say, yeah, like Seth was mentioning, it's you're trying to build a visual narrative. You're trying to respect the nature of these original stories and lives, but then there's also this side of it where I think someone said this in the chat during the screening. You start to see your own family, like you see places that you've been, or you feel like you've been, or laughter, parties, places that So no matter what we do to the footage, I think part of the nature of watching home movies collectively is that everyone becomes involved, just out of recognition, out of the feeling it gives you, and it's getting to edit it and be behind the scenes is great, but also I feel like when you're sitting in front of it and you're seeing it for the first time, you start to remember and feel like your lives are in some way. And that's what I love about this series, and just getting to watch these films over and over again, just to have that feeling over and over again.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm very glad that that this project is in play, because I think that it's a perfect timing for it to be part of what people are really using to re-understand, or to understand even for the first time, who Black people really are. And I don't think there are many places where people can go to better understand how ridiculous the stereotype about who we are is. That this film footage simply tears apart the idea that people who thought they knew who Black people were, but who had no idea how we lived at all. They had no idea that we traveled, that we had lives that were very similar probably to their lives, they had the other things beyond the similarities to that is the explanation of some of our value system, which really comes through. The fact that we really are people who cherish and love and enjoy each other, enjoy our family lives especially. Many, many, many photos of us interacting, around the table, eating. Uh, Many things that show how we think, what we think about our children, particularly the babies. I love that piece where the sound piece where the baby was just speaking and talking. That and he had his little red shoes on. I mean, and that will melt everybody's heart and let you know how we feel about our children and how we feel about one another. A very important part of our culture that I think is speaking to the now is that we care. We're multi-generational, and we absolutely care about our elders and as well as our babies. And our elders because we live like that. And so there's some things that are very important right now that I think that in the subtle and in a very overt way that these film series are saying collectively and individually that I'm so glad for.
Wow. Thank you, Jeanette. That was wonderful. Yeah, and I mentioned that your family, your aunt, Jean Patton, was, her films, her collection are numbers at exactly 100, which is the largest gift that the Southside Home Movie Project has received in terms of home movies. And really it spans decades of, and it's such an amazing treasure that we can look at the South Side of Chicago and further, right? Because as we know, Black people travel.
That's right.
You still do.
And still do. And will again one day. But it it is truly wonderful. If anyone's watching and is interested, we have a publicly accessible archive, which we've posted the link to. You can check out more of the Gene Patton films and others from the, half a dozen that Seth and Avery brought into this film. I know we only have a few minutes left, so I just want to offer a chance for anyone to give any closing remarks or say anything, so words of inspiration.
I think I will just say I want to thank all of the bodies that came to me to bring me on board for this. I really, again, I wasn't sure where I would. This is my first venture into putting together something creative in this way. My world is really just, it does involve visual and it involves dance and such, but not where I'm creating a film myself based on your stories and your lives, and also seeing myself and my life in your lives. And I think I'm forever grateful and forever changed because of this experience. And I thank all of the families that donated towards this archive for allowing me to kind of live in your lives for just a little bit. Yeah.
I'd like to say that I thank particularly you guys for this last one. All of them had the same elements, but this is the epitome of what I call really true art. Art that is expressive in the same way that a poem is, that is in the same way that great music is, and all the imagery that has combined with this fabulous music that actually has given us a very powerful experience that doesn't have anything to do with your personal, as I said, my personal life and what I've seen is enhanced to the bone because of course I'm seeing my mother my all of the generation that is gone now, but who we still live with. But I'm seeing this in the our way an artist would see it, and that is in this universal way. So I consider this high art, and I really appreciate it from that perspective.
Wow. Well, thank you. I don't know if we can follow you up on that.
Avery?
Yeah. Well, I just want to give a heartfelt thanks to the entire Spinning Home Movies team, represented here by Avery LaFlamme, by Tony, by Sabrina, by Jackie Stewart, by Brett, all of the folks and Aaron who've made this possible. Thank you. We've had a wonderful summer special, these deep collaborations with artists like you, Seth Parker Woods and Jamila Woods, earlier this summer have really made this truly an intentional process for us. And we're so thankful to experiment in these ways with you. Thank you again, Grace Center, for helping us sponsor this and to bring this beautiful work of life, The Will to Adorn, to a wider audience. Thank you, Seth.
Thank you. Thanks, Avery.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Good night.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Yeah.
Good night.